Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of my plants in my collection that has lost a lot of its value that I originally bought them for. And this video is not to shame any species by any means, it's just an observation, and it's also not trying to inspire you guys to assign a dollar value on plants, because this is not how we should have a relationship with plants. At least that's not how I think about plants. But you know, I do propagate my plants and I do sell them so I can actually buy more plants, and I can hopefully one day buy more land to fit more plants. But that is my plan. Everyone has a different goals with their plant hobby, and everybody has their own journey, which is great. But yeah, today's video is just purely for entertainment purposes. Again, I'm not trying to shame any plant species. I'm also probably going to insert some of the reasons, some of my theories as to why some of these species have fallen in price, and where possible I'm going to try to remember how much I paid them for and include how much they're worth in the market price today. And just so you know, there's no standardization of prices in Indonesia, so every seller prices their plants a little bit differently, so I may not be 100% accurate in terms of the current market prices, so please don't quote me on that, but it's just based on my own personal research and the people that I've come across. So yeah, take this video as a grain of salt. Just take this video as an entertainment, just purely, it's something for you to enjoy and get to know some of the species. And maybe if these plants were in your wish list before, just know that they're probably a lot more affordable now and they're more attainable these days. So yeah, let's get this tour started. Oh my god, so much construction noise. Everyone is building a house now. I guess because it's the end of COVID, this is a sign of economic recovery. But we're going to start with this plant right here. This is the Alocasia sabrina. And I think first we have to mention that there is currently an oversupply of plants in Indonesia as COVID has ended. A lot of lockdown measures are gone. People are traveling. All the travel destiny, all the malls are full of people. So people aren't really shopping for plants now. So plant demands are low. And the people who are originally collecting plants in the beginning of the pandemic are now plant sellers. So high supply, low demand. This is why a lot of the prices has fallen. For this Alocasia sabrina here, our first contender, I bought it for about 1.2 to 1.5 million Indonesian rupiah. I can't remember how much, but that was the price because I remember competitively searching for it, trying to find one at the right size, at the right price. But now, these guys at this size is probably around 400 to 500 Indonesian rupiah, so that's almost like a third of the original price. If you watch my video on how to propagate this, I'm going to link that up above, you'll know that they're actually quite fast growing. They're also quite easy to propagate. If you don't really sell all your babies, you can have a lot of mother plants. You can have this mass produced very, very quickly. So yeah, but this is actually a really pretty plant. Look at those petioles there. I never get bored watching this plant. The leaves are a little bit more simple, but I like that. Look at that. Very minimalistic, very simple leaves. But look at the fruit, look at the neck here. The next plant is this Bokeh reflector. So I'm just going randomly, I'm just going from plant to plant because I don't have a system of how this works. But yeah, it's basically a tour of all my plants that has fallen in price. So this used to be pretty expensive, maybe around 250 to 350,000 Indonesian rupiah. And it's now probably about, you can get a tiny one for about 50,000 and about 150,000 for like a decent, for a medium size like this. But look at how pretty this looks. It's like a lightsaber going down the middle. Very beautiful Bokeh. I'm actually starting to get into Bokeh a little bit more, especially after touring Louis Organics, which I'm going to link that up above. The next plant is this Philodendron birkin. So I bought this for about 450,000 Indonesian rupiah. At the time, it was a steal because the normal price would have been around 700 or 800,000. And it would be a tiny, I bought this as a super tiny plant, by the way, and I've propagated so many of these. This is just one of the plants that I didn't propagate, but I've already had 4th or 5th generations of them that are on sale. Look at how beautiful they are. These guys are actually about 100,000 Indonesian rupiah now for a small one. A lot of people are selling them. They're very easy to come by. So basically a 4-fold fall in price. And rightfully so, because I feel like everybody should have one of these. They're relatively fast growing, they're so beautiful, and they look so nice. Look at this. In the landscaping, and they do really well indoors, and they have just a tiny bit of red on the cataphil here. Very nice. And this one you can take off. It's very dry. Yeah, take that off. The next plant is the Skindasa Triviae dark, and this applies for the moonlight as well. The dark is actually a lot slower growing than the Skindasa's light. Sorry about that yellowing leaf. But these used to be about 70 for like a cutting, up to like 120,000 Indonesian rupiah. But now they are about 30,000 Indonesian rupiah. So that's almost like a 3 to 4-fold fall in price. I actually do sell these, but then I grow them out so that it's actually more than one plant in there. There's a lot of cuttings in there, so it'll become really bushy. And because I cannot sell 30,000 rupiah plants, it's just too expensive. Like the potting mix and the pot and our efforts would just be way more than the plant itself. But how beautiful is this? So yeah, we're growing them out. That's one of our strategies, so that they're very bushy before we sell them. The Calathea mosaica. So this was actually about 150,000 Indonesian rupiah, but then they're so fast growing. It used to be very difficult to come by, and not many people would have them, but now they are kind of everywhere. And these days they're around 35 to 50,000 Indonesian rupiah for a smaller plant. Of course, this is a much more mature form. Yeah, this is a plant that really keeps on giving. It's so prolific at growing. It's so beautiful. But the prices are actually so... Sorry about that message that came in. Yeah, the prices has fallen so much. The Philodendron hestatum. This is the Philodendron silver sort. It can get really big leaves. And it's really pretty when it's bigger, but you can only find those in more specialty nurseries because most people sell these as smaller plants, and maybe we're expected to grow them out ourselves in our living spaces. I bought this for about 125,000 Indonesian rupiah, and at the time it was considered a cheap plant haul because, you know, I'm very thrifty with my shopping. But these days, these guys go for about 50,000 Indonesian rupiah, and I think I'm selling them for about 35,000 because I've got many of these babies, maybe about 30 to 40 pots of them, and nobody wants them. They're very difficult to sell these days. So yeah, very expensive but very beautiful nonetheless. And yeah, I will grow this particular one out to have big leaves. This is going to be in my personal collection. And the reason why I propagated it, and I did not make a video about it, I'm so sorry, I should have, is because it was struggling. It kept putting out this vine with very little leaves. So then it's got these long vines with like no leaves, and I just cut them up and then I propagated them using single node wet stick propagations, and all the babies took. All of them successfully rooted. This is why I have so many of them. The next plant is the Monstera dubaya. A bit of a spoiler, I'm gonna have a video on how to propagate these guys. This used to be about 1.2 to 1.5 million Indonesian rupiah. They were very sought after. But these days you can actually get them for about 400,000 Indonesian rupiah for like a well-rooted cutting. So it's fallen a lot in price, about 3-folds, maybe even 4-folds. And this right here, the variegated Monstera edensonia, and this is the Japan one. If you watch my video on how I propagated these, and it was actually a very disappointing video, but look at the outcome. Actually, I did end up with a few variegated leaves, just propagated out of nothing, and there are a few more wet stick propagations here. This little leaf coming out here, and that little baby one there with a little bit of variegation. So not so bad. I did manage to get a few out of it because in my video I showed you that all of them basically reverted to green. Like all of them started giving me green leaves like this, so I lost so much money out of it. I didn't sell a single one of these. I bought it for 23.5 million Indonesian rupiah. That is my single highest purchase price of any plants. Crazy. And these guys are now worth about 4 million Indonesian rupiah, and even then selling them has become very hard because demand is quite low, and also of course they were really overpriced way before. So this is definitely a plant that I bought that I don't think I'll make a return out of. This is a Skindasa silvery, and I bought it for 1.2 million Indonesian rupiah for 2-leaf cutting. Of course, it's grown quite a lot in the past, I would say 7 or 8 months. And I've propagated some of these. This is one of the propagations. So pretty. Really love how random the silver specks are. But these guys are around 300,000 Indonesian rupiah now for a single leaf cutting, maybe a 2-leaf cutting. So it's fallen down in price by about 3 or 4 folds. This one is particularly heartbreaking, but if you have been in the market for a Philodendron Sharonii, now is probably a good time to get it because their prices has stabilized at around 1.5 million Indonesian rupiah. I remember buying this for about 4.5 and it used to go up to 7 million Indonesian rupiah per leaf cutting, so it's gone down quite a lot. I guess technically speaking, we're in the Philodendron corner now. So I had a lot of these, they're all propagating away. This is the Philodendron barracusan. And they actually got spider mite attack really bad because they were together. So I decided to just treat them because the leaves were so damaged like this. I just cut them all up into single node cutting. Some of them even lost their leaves, but then they do really well with wet stick propagation, you guys. This is done from a wet stick propagation. And they used to be about 700,000 Indonesian rupiah for cutting like this. And now they are about 300, maybe 350,000 Indonesian rupiah for a size like this. Now this is a Philodendron parasol verde, and I had a video on these, and it's such a nice, beautiful plant, and they're some of the fastest growing philodendron, also fastest to propagate. And I bought this for about 2.5, and it used to be up to 3.5 million Indonesian rupiah for one leaf. Guess how much the price is now? It's only about 250 to 350,000 for a cutting, and that is a 10-fold decrease in price. That is crazy. I did manage to propagate these, and I did sell it for about 2 million at one point. And I'm sorry if you were the one that bought my plant, but that was the price at the time. So these days they really are becoming a very inexpensive, very common philodendron. I guess thanks to the ease of care and also how fast and prolific they grow and easy to propagate as well. And they can get massive leaves really quickly. The more light you give it, the more variegation it'll give you. So yeah, it's just non-stop growing leaf after leaf, and it's a really beautiful plant, just so you know. So if you're into that kind of quote-unquote rare philodendron with an interesting look, but these guys, they need a little bit of direct sunlight to give you that variegation. If you don't have that condition, don't bother with this plant. The next one is this Philodendron lupinum. It's got velvety green leaves with red underside. It is such a beautiful plant. Look at that pink here. It is actually a very fast growing plant, very easy to grow. Their mature form looks super interesting, so Google up what their mature form looks like. But these plants used to be about 450,000 Indonesian rupiah for a single cutting, and it was impossible to find before. Look at how beautiful that is. It looks like a curtain, like a velvet curtain. And these days they are about 100,000 Indonesian rupiah, so there's 4.5-fold decrease in price. Very inexpensive, and they're so beautiful. I really want to grow this as a bushy plant, like my brand tianum, which we will see next. So the Philodendron brand tianum, it is so stunning. And this one's got a little bit leggy because I cut it right up here. I thought that it would give me multiple branches down below, but it didn't. Actually, it does. It's giving me a little vine here. That is putting out a vine right at the node below. I cut it, and now it looks like this. But their leaves can get massive. This is one of the bigger ones. Sorry, don't look at that. Oh, it's ugly, it's got some fungus on it. But the leaves can get quite big, and it can get even bigger than this if you let it climb up. So I do need to give this one a moss pole soon. But they used to be 450,000 Indonesian rupiah for a single cutting. And now they are about 100,000 Indonesian rupiah for a cutting, and the price is still falling, by the way. But look at how nice they look when you grow them in a bushy pot like this, that you have many cuttings in one pot and you just let it climb up a moss pole. It looks really good. And because they're so fast growing, they're so easy to propagate, the prices have fallen, and now they're again 4.5-fold cheaper than before. But I actually think that because of the way that it looks, it's just such a popular plant that grows so fast, the price will actually keep falling. And think one day it will become a Philodendron hederaceum price probably of maybe 50, even up to 35 Indonesian rupiah for a cutting, because these guys are actually easy to grow, and they're so beautiful. The Philodendron tortem, and it's such a beautiful plant. I really love how it looks like a palm, and whenever the new leaf unfurls, it's just so beautiful. This is just one of the cuttings. They actually grow relatively fast, and they're pretty easy to propagate. I got one plant in the beginning, and I got it for about 700,000 Indonesian rupiah, and at that time that was a steal, because a small plant would set you back about 1.2 to 1.5 million Indonesian rupiah. But these days you can buy one of these for about 300,000 Indonesian rupiah. I've seen some posts for 200,000 for a cutting. Yeah, beautiful plant. It's a really good time to get it now in case it's in your wish list. Very pretty. This is the Philodendron milanochryson. Sorry about that burn mark there. That was actually in direct sunlight. This actually moved it here about 2 months ago, and the new leaves are growing just fine, although it's going to start probably attaching itself to the wall. This is actually quite big. It's like bigger than my palm. But anyways, I digress. This is I would say the 2019 it plant that everyone must have one. Everyone's talking about it. But we haven't really heard much about it lately. Oh, let me check the back of this. This looks like it could be Spider-Man. No, it's actually maybe a little bit burnt, I think. It was definitely very stressed out there in the previous spot. It's got quite a bit of direct sunlight with the changing seasons. But yeah, those are doing well. But anyways, I used to get a small plant of this for about 400,000. Maybe the leaf was about this big, I would say. Maybe this tall too. So maybe like 3 leaves would be 450,000 Indonesian rupiah. This was before the craze. This was before the pandemic. And then now they're actually around 150,000 Indonesian rupiah for this size. And the scary thing is that I've actually done a lot of nursery tours lately. Everyone has these stocked up. It's full of milanochryson. I don't really know how they're gonna move all these stock. There's an oversupply, and I think the demand, even if the demand is steady, let's just say the demand is not fallen, which I believe is falling. I don't know, there's just a lot of them, you guys. But yeah, this has fallen a lot in price, but this is a beautiful plant. Not an easy one to care for, but yeah. This right here, this is the Anthurium by Terryfolium. Really pretty. And this used to be a little bit rare. You have to kind of look around for it. I bought mine for, I believe, 700,000 Indonesian rupiah. This was about 2 years ago. And now they're kind of everywhere. They actually set a lot of flowers, which means that they set seed very easily, and also very easy to propagate. I did have a video on how to propagate this plant, and I now have, I think, 3 of these, but then I've sold like 2 of these. So they're quite good returns for the investment, but the price now is around 150 to 175,000 Indonesian rupiah for a smaller one, not this size. This is a little bit bigger, but yeah, you can get away with, you know, that price. So it's probably lost half, a little bit more than half of its value. The Aglaonema Pictum Tricolor, I've actually successfully propagated so many of these. This is pretty fast growing, very easy to propagate. These are some of the babies that I have. I used to buy this for about 700,000 Indonesian rupiah. It is actually the pride and joy of Indonesia, but because they gained popularity so very quickly, now they are 50,000 Indonesian rupiah here. And next up here, this is the Aglaonema Japung Sutsum. And this used to be pretty expensive, about 300 to 400 Indonesian rupiah. I remember everyone rushed to get one of these at one point because I don't know, I think they were hybrids or something. They were just coming into the market and everyone just must have this. And here's a lesson to draw. When plants gain popularity very quickly, their prices will also fall very quickly. This is now 100,000 Indonesian rupiah. Here is the beautiful Skindasa Silver Splash. Really love this plant. It'll give you varying degrees of silver based on the light level that you give it. If you give it very strong light, indirect of course, you don't want to burn it with direct light, they will give you more silver leaves, and it can give you a variation of more green leaves if you give it lower light. This used to be 250,000 Indonesian rupiah for maybe 2-leaf cutting, and these days they go for about 50,000 Indonesian rupiah. Really nice plant to get. And I believe the price is probably quite stable now. I don't think you can get lower than that. They're actually very slow to propagate, but they're actually fast growing once it's already gotten used to its space. Here's the Alocasia dragon scale, and this is actually not super healthy now. It's lost a lot of leaves. I need to repot it. But anyways, this used to be very expensive, around 125 to 170. Gia, get out! You can't be out here. She's not allowed in there. Gia, get out! Come on, get out, please. Alright, so where were we? She's totally not allowed out here, and with mini Dachshunds, just so you know, or Dachshunds in general, her breed, when you tell them no, they don't take no for an answer. For them, that it just means that they'll try again later. Anyways, so this used to be about 150, 175,000 for like a small plant, and these days they're about 50,000 to 75,000 Indonesian rupiah, so they're very affordable, and I have a feeling that they will stay around that same price now. It's pretty stable, but yeah, affordable now. Here is the Syngonium Three Kings. Really beautiful Syngonium. They used to be about 125 to 175,000 Indonesian rupiah. They're actually very fast growing, and Syngoniums, but this is my Syngonium corner, have very different growth speed. Some of them grow super slow, and this is actually a very fast growing one, and it is actually now about 50,000 Indonesian rupiah, and that's how much we're selling them for at our store, and nobody's buying them. This is such a beautiful Syngonium. But yeah, because they're so fast growing, the supply is incredibly high. Yeah, but I know that these guys are very popular overseas these days still, so just to let you guys know, these guys are very easy to grow, very fast growing, and prices are falling like crazy here. Same with the Syngonium batik here. It's pretty fast growing and the prices are actually falling down. I can't remember how much I bought this for actually. Yeah, my mind is blank now, but I know that these guys are very common now. They're kind of but look at how beautiful they are. Yeah, Syngoniums, if you're following their hype now, because Syngoniums are having their moment, and the moment I think it's maybe plateauing already, because they're so easy to propagate, they're so fast growing, that just be careful. Just don't buy them at the hyped up price. Just wait for the prices to fall, unless you are a grower that you want to multiply quickly before and you want to beat the system and sell them at a decent rate, decent price, then go for it. This here, this is the Anthuriumvaraquinum. This is the queen Anthurium. It can get longer and bigger leaves. I actually have this grown in a little bit of a shade area, which is why it's got longer internodes, longer petioles, and smaller leaves. It's growing a bit slower too, but that's okay. At least I'm not struggling with this plant. But if you give it more light, you give it a bigger pot, it will grow a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna have a propagation video on these sometime soon. But I just want to talk about the price real quick. These used to be very expensive. These are the legendary plants. Like a plant this size would be, I don't know, anywhere for 1.5 to 2 million Indonesian rupiah. I actually bought a tiny one. I believe the baby was about 700,000 at the time. And these days you can find a lot of them for like the baby ones for like, I don't know, 200,000 Indonesian rupiah. Maybe because these guys do set seed and a lot of the nurseries are selling them as like little tiny seedlings. But of course, I just want to be careful. This is Indonesia. When you buy these seedlings, there's chances that it is not this plant. Yeah, there are a lot of dishonest sellers out there. But again, they do set seed quite fast and they propagate quite easily. So these guys are not that expensive anymore. It's no longer a legendary plant to have, unfortunately. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, I'm running out of plants to show you. But in the next episode, I'm going to be showing you plants that have kept its values. It's going to be the exact opposite of this video because there are many plants that actually still holds true to their value despite COVID and the ending of restriction and now the sudden shift in supply and demand. Yeah, because these plants are, you know, gorgeous, they're maybe more difficult to grow, and maybe they have more unique forms from one leaf to another. So we're going to look at that in the next episode, so please do stay tuned. It's going to be an interesting one, and I hope that you guys are not going to be shaming these plants now, but rather you see it as a trend. Like trends do go up and down, and if some of these plants were in your wish list before, do consider getting them now because they are quite available these days. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm at Botanist on Instagram. If you want to DM me on any questions regarding plant care and propagations, I'll try my best to get back to you. Meanwhile, do take care and stay safe. I will see you in the next video. Bye.